Welcome to the REI Cloud how-to videos. Today we are going to be covering how to complete an ownership change wizard in REI Cloud for a permanent property. If you need to complete an ownership change wizard for a holiday letting property, please refer to our video, Ownership Change Holiday Property. Before we complete the ownership change wizard, we must first do our preparation. The first item in our preparation is ensuring that the new owner is set up. For my example today, I have the owner already set up in the REI Cloud. Next, we need to review where the tenant is paid to. It is important that the tenant is paid up until or beyond the settlement date. Once the ownership change is complete, all rent from that point forward will be passed on to the new owner. If the tenant is currently in arrears, we recommend waiting until the arrears have been resolved before proceeding with the ownership change. Next, it is time to apply any outstanding charges to the previous owner. This could include maintenance costs or other invoices incurred while the seller still owned the property. To do this, navigate to Process and then Charges. Keep in mind, once the ownership change is finalised, any charges entered will be reflected on the new owner's ledger, so it's important to ensure all applicable charges are processed beforehand. It's at this time that we should consider whether we'd like to pro-rata any monthly charges, such as our admin fee, between the old and new owners. By default, both owners will be charged the full permanent deductions during your next disbursement. If you prefer to split these fees, you will need to apply the pro-rata amount to the old owner's ledger before completing the ownership change, and apply the pro-rata amount to the new owner after the ownership change. To access the ownership change wizard, we need to go into Rentals, double-click to open the rental property that we need to apply this to, and click Ownership Change. Once in the ownership change wizard, you will be taken to this screen where it will have the items to consider that we have just covered. It will also go through some items to consider once the ownership change is completed. This screen as well also has a link to our ownership change knowledge base article if you would like written step-by-step instructions on how to complete this process. To start the wizard, click on Start Ownership Change. Step 1 is entering the date that settlement occurred. Then we need to select the new owner. Click on the Select button and search for the owner that you have set up in REI Cloud. An optional step is to add any comments for the ownership change. Then click Next to move on to the second page. We're then presented with two options: either have REI Cloud calculate monies owed on settlement, or calculating your own journals. In this example, we'll use REI Cloud to automatically calculate the amount owed between the old owner and the new owner at settlement. Once selected, the screen will expand and prompt you to specify who owns the settlement day, the seller or the purchaser. If you are unsure who should be allocated this day, it is best to confirm this with the solicitors. Based on your selection, REI Cloud will automatically calculate the rent owed between the two owners. It will also display any management commission that needs to be refunded to the previous owner. We strongly recommend reviewing these figures carefully before moving on to the next step. The last page of the wizard is where you confirm all completed steps and acknowledge that the property will now be linked to the new owner moving forward. Carefully read through each statement and tick the checkbox beside it to confirm. The Submit button will remain inactive until all boxes are checked. Once you click the Submit button, you'll be redirected to the Ownership Change History page. This is where you can see all previous ownership changes that have been completed for this property. Now that the ownership change is complete, let's now have a look at the owner's ledgers. We'll start off with the old owner. You'll see that all the money that has been receipted for the month is listed against the old owner's ledger. There's then a journal from the old owner to the new owner for rental money owed after settlement, and a refund from the business to the old owner for any commission that would have been taken on rental money after settlement. Then if we look at the new owner, we have a journal there for rental money that is owed to them from the old owner. The management commission will be charged on that rental money and will be taken from the new owner and paid to the business during your next disbursement. You'll be able to make the old owner inactive once there is no money held against their ledger in REI Cloud. This means once you complete your next disbursement, you can then open the owner and set the active slider in the top right hand corner to inactive. If you're provided with advance notice of the ownership change, alternatively you can receipt up to settlement date and receipt any additional rental monies to deposit. Once the ownership change is completed, you can then convert that deposit to rent. That concludes our tutorial on ownership changes in REI Cloud. Thank you for watching and be sure to check out our other videos for more helpful tips and guides.